Welcome. This month we are walking with God in the desert. Last month we reflected on what it's like walking with God in the garden. And the reality is we don't always get to linger in the garden. God's people have a long familiarity with the desert, going right back to Adam and Eve, through the generations, including the 40 years the entire community spent in the desert after leaving Egypt, and the 40 days Jesus spent in the desert before he began his ministry. Yes, the desert is a place of discomfort and challenge, and also a place of growth, formation, and surprising encounters with God. As you engage with this material, reflect on your own desert wanderings with God and how they have shaped you into the person you now are. Perhaps right now is a season of walking in the desert. How are you experiencing God in this place of struggle and hardship and perhaps beauty? As a desert wanderer longs for springs of cool water, so my thirsty soul reaches out for you, O God. Come, drink from the well this day. Come deeply into God's presence, who is waiting for you. Because of your great compassion, you did not abandon them in the wilderness. By day the pillar of cloud did not fail to guide them on their path, nor the pillar of fire by night to shine on the way they were to take. You gave your good spirit to instruct them. You did not withhold your manna from their mouths, and you gave them water for their thirst. For 40 years you sustained them in the wilderness. They lacked nothing. Their clothes did not wear out, nor did their feet become swollen. God, you are our God. We earnestly seek you. We come into your sanctuary, beholding your power and glory. There is a rich history of people throughout the millennia choosing the desert to more deeply seek and experience God, who created both garden and desert. There are the familiar stories and writings of the desert mothers and fathers who fled from the cities to the deserts of Egypt in the 3rd to 5th centuries. And then there are the people who found themselves unintentionally in desert places. In the desert, people often found silence, solitude, and a deeper encounter with the living God. I invite you to journey with me as I share our triptych of desert pilgrimage. You might like to pause between each story and reflect on what God is saying to you. Or perhaps just one story is all you need to engage with right now. Once upon a time, there was a desert and a dream. And the dream had a name, Calvada Springs. The Mojave Desert began right at the back fence of the home where we were staying. Looking into the desert distance of Nevada, Calvada Springs called to our hearts. A day trip to a place of springs in the desert, a sheltered oasis, was so appealing. There seemed to be little information about the place, and the locals we spoke to had never heard of it. But we'd seen it on the internet. Google Maps showed us where it was, and we were determined to find springs in the desert. We set out one Sunday morning, looking forward to brunch in Calvada Springs. We drove through empty desert roads, tumbleweed drifting along beside us. We drove and we drove. There were no road signs and no indication how much further we had to go. According to Google Maps, we should be right now, right in the middle of Calvada Springs. We continued to drive through the desert, seeing no sign of life, let alone any sign of a town. We pulled over as the road continued uphill, resolving there was no point in driving further into the desert in a seemingly fruitless search. As we got out of the car and looked down over the landscape we had just driven through, we saw a few houses and some streets loosely clustered together. Curious, we turned around and drove back. Yes, there was finally a sign to Calvada Springs, but no township, no cafe, and definitely no springs. There were dirt roads that led nowhere, and street signs pointing to empty desert. We saw derelict-looking vans, which may or may not have been inhabited, and a few lean, neglected dogs. We drove up and down the eerily empty streets, wondering, looking for signs of life, looking for explanations of some kind. Finally, we drove out of the desolate town and its somewhat creepy emptiness. We drove back to where we started and found a safe, familiar place for a rather late brunch, washed down with plenty of coffee. It seems, at one time, a developer had bought a huge piece of land on the California-Nevada border, hence Calvada, and had sold house blocks to people in faraway cities as retirement properties. The problem, however, was a lack of water. No water, no town. Development ceased. Once upon a time, there was a desert and a dream. In the Mojave Desert was the dream of fresh water, clear springs, and abundant life. Once again, we drove through lonely desert roads, tumbleweed drifting along beside us, following the signs that led us to Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge, the largest remaining oasis in the Mojave Desert. And the sign, standing in the sand, covered in dust, seemingly miles from any oasis, proudly proclaims Ash Meadows, where the desert springs to life. There, suddenly in the midst of desert, was life. Here in this oasis, we found spring-fed wetlands, the mysterious Devil's Hole over 150 meters deep with a bottom that has never been reached. We found the natural spring that outputs 10,600 liters of water a minute. We found fossil water that comes from ice melted in the last ice age, and almost 30 species of plants and animals that don't exist anywhere else on Earth, including the critically endangered pupfish. The most powerful image of ash meadows was the sign, "There is enough water in the desert." Exactly the right ratio of water to rock and sand. There is enough water in the desert, unless you build a city where a city shouldn't be. Once upon a time, there was a desert, a dream, and a ballerina from New York City. Although we didn't know that when we pulled into the quaint hotel at Death Valley Junction we'd booked online. At the first glance of the dilapidated, run-down, deserted-looking hotel in what seemed to be a deserted-looking ghost town, our hearts sank, and I thought, we've made a mistake. But there was nowhere else, and it was only one night. Then we discovered the dream, the opera house, and the woman behind both. This is the story of this woman and her dream. On a spring afternoon in 1967, a middle-aged dancer and her husband from New York get a flat tire in a dusty town, population of 38, in the middle of nowhere, somewhere near Death Valley. Marta strolls around as her husband fixes the tire and wanders curiously up to an abandoned social hall. She peeks through a hole in the back door and senses the building calling to her, "Take me. Do something with me. I offer you life." At the time, Marta was wondering where to go next in her career. So she chose an abandoned social hall in the desert and transformed it into a cultural centre that for the past 50 or more years has drawn visitors from all around the world. While you have time left, find a place where you can live out your dreams, even if it is on top of a mountain or in the middle of a desert. For almost 50 years, Marta danced, sang and performed in what became the Amargosa Opera House. When there was no one in the audience, Marta painted the audience. Over a period of 6 years, creating an audience of Renaissance nobility, royalty, religious sisters in honour of a nearby convent, and women of the night, also in honour of women living nearby. In an age obsessed with celebrity and fixated on youth, Beckett's passionate pursuit of her art for its own sake, whether or not it was profitable or anyone was watching, and even her perceived self-imposed exile have become folklore. The decision to take control of her destiny, despite belonging to a world with strict requirements concerning physicality and conformity, means the stories she tells are her own. In her final performance, the 87-year-old declared, "This theatre fulfills my life dream." We had journeyed through the desert and discovered a town that didn't exist, a magical wetlands that is the only remaining oasis in the Mojave Desert, and an opera house in the middle of nowhere. We learned to not build a city where a city shouldn't be, to stand in awe and wonder at unexpected beauty where the desert springs to life, and to follow our dreams, even when they might lead us to unexpected places and not make sense to others, to create the life we choose, wherever we may find ourselves. You might like to reflect on these desert stories. What captures your attention? What images, words, or feelings resonate with you? What might be your city where a city shouldn't be? Your place where the desert springs to life? Your opera house in the desert, the theatre that fulfills your life dream. Try writing your own desert pilgrimage. How does the story begin? Where does it take you? What unexpected things do you find on the way? What have you learned in the desert wanderings? May you, who are thirsty, come to Jesus and drink. May you, who know and love Jesus, flow with streams of living water from within. May you, who are thirsty, come and experience the free gift of the water of life. May you drink and be satisfied. May you come and your thirst be quenched. Amen.